Hey everybody, this is TJR. A new tape recording obtained by Beatles historian Mark Lewison is apparently rewriting what we thought we knew about Beatles history. It's always been assumed that the Beatles knew that Abbey Road would be their last hurrah. And it's always been kind of assumed that Paul McCartney wanted to keep the Beatles together and that John Lennon wanted to end things. But in this newly discovered recording made on September 8th, 1969 at Apple headquarters, we hear Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison discussing the possibility of a follow-up album to Abbey Road. Now, Ringo could not be there because he was in the hospital having some tests done, and that is why the recording of the meeting was made in the first place. At the opening of the tape, we hear John say, "Ringo, you can't be here, but this is so you can hear what we're discussing." It's in this recording that John Lennon brings up the possibility of an Abbey Road follow-up, and he suggests that the group release a single in time for Christmas, and that each member of the group bring in songs as candidates for that single. But even more surprising is that he also lays out a formula for the band's next album. In this discussion, he suggests 4 songs each, 4 for himself, 4 from McCartney, and 4 from Harrison, and also 2 for Ringo if he wants them. John Lennon also suggests an end to the quote-unquote Lennon and McCartney credit, stating that songs written by Paul should be credited to Paul, and that songs written by himself, John Lennon, should be credited to himself alone. Now, hearing all this really does destroy a lot of the accepted history regarding the Beatles during this time. What is also quite shocking, and for me, somewhat disappointing, is Paul McCartney's rather blunt remarks regarding George Harrison's songwriting. In response to John Lennon's proposal of 4 songs each, he states, "I thought until this album," referring to Abbey Road, "that George's songs weren't that good." Harrison defends himself and says, "That's a matter of taste. All down the line, people have liked my songs." Once again, I have to admit to being a bit shocked and a bit disappointed to hear this from Paul McCartney. I mean, really, you didn't think that Taxman or While My Guitar Gently Weeps was good? Really? Lennon then comes to Harrison's defense and cites the rest of the group's dislike of McCartney's Abbey Road track, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Now, personally, I've always really liked Maxwell's Silver Hammer, but I've also thought that Harrison's songs, well, maybe not as plentiful on the Beatles albums, were certainly just as good. And I thought this since his first track, which was Don't Bother Me from With the Beatles. That was the first song he wrote for the group. Now, Beatles historian Mark Lewison is a noted Beatles archivist. He's written a number of books, and he's kind of the go-to guy for any major media outlet that they go to when they need to get information about the Beatles or need to consult on whether they're being historically accurate. But as I kept reading all the accounts of this, and I went from article to article from all the different major news sources, they were all basically quoting the same story that was printed by The Guardian UK. Now, I have not heard this recording myself. In fact, as I began to research this and I began to read different news reports that were published on the internet regarding this story, I couldn't find any confirmation that any of the news outlets reporting on this had heard this tape themselves. In fact, all of them quoted the Guardian UK article. Now, in that article, we do get confirmation that the reporter on that story did in fact hear the tape and that Mark Lewison played it for him. Other than that, though, it sounds to me like no one else has heard this tape. Now, I have no reason to doubt the Guardian UK. I do not distrust them as a news source. But as I was reading about it, I kept thinking, wow, is this for real? Is this tape real? Has anyone heard it? Is it a hoax? This revelation is so shockingly different from what we've always perceived the history to be that I do hope this tape the audio is made public so that we can all hear it with our own ears. The timing of this story also bothers me just a little bit. When you read the Guardian UK article, the first part of the story is about this tape. Then the second half is about Mark Lewison promoting a stage show about the Beatles regarding the recording of Abbey Road that he is promoting. He states in the article that he intends to use this recording as part of the stage show. Now, I have nothing against him creating a stage show. I have nothing against him promoting it. But it is interesting to me the timing involved, that he finds this tape just as he's starting to promote this show. and that now he talks about it. And as I read this, I kept wondering, well, why hasn't any of the Beatles in the years after Abbey Road, why have none of them brought this up? Why did George Harrison never bring this up? This whole idea that John wanted to give him equal time in the spotlight as him and Paul Paul was kind of against it. Why didn't he ever bring this up? Paul's rather, brutal words about his songwriting, why didn't he ever bring that up? Why hasn't Ringo ever brought this up? And why has the narrative always been, oh yeah, we knew this was our last album going into it? It's these types of questions that make me wonder, well, is this tape for real or is it just a hoax? Once again, I don't want to come off as too conspiratorial. I have no reason to doubt The Guardian UK. I have no reason to doubt Mark Lewison. It's just the timing bugs me just a little bit. So I really do hope that the general public, the general public, will be able to hear this recording and see for ourselves. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I will keep my eye open to updates on this story and to reactions, especially reactions from Ringo and Paul. It'll be interesting to hear what they have to say about it. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. And as always, if you like what I'm doing, be sure to click like, click subscribe, and click the bell notification so you can know when I release new videos. A big thanks goes to all my patrons who are helping me to make more videos. And I would encourage you that if you like what I'm doing, please go to the Patreon page and pledge a little something. You can make a huge difference to this channel by just pledging the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.